What's up? It's Canucks This Week with Dan and Randip. And, the 7-game homestand has come to an end, Randip. It's 5 points out of a possible 14 for the Vancouver Canucks. They are second to last in the Pacific Division, only ahead of the expansion Seattle Kraken. How worried should we be about this disappointing start?
Dan, home cooking is supposed to be good for you, and it went the opposite way for the Canucks. If you thought the Canucks were going to be a top one or two team in the Pacific, there were a few people out there. Shouts to David Amber, who said they would win the division. I remember in the preseason predictions.
It's still early.
You should be very worried for that prediction, because top two teams right now in that division are making noise. They're picking up points. They're not going to keep up that pace. But the Canucks, when you drop that many points, especially at home, Dan, that is a worry. 12 out of a possible 26 points to start off the year is not a good sign.
All right. So Randip is high on the worryometer. You know what? I want to be worried because this is not great. Their place in the standings is not good, but I am kind of positive about the way the team has played in the overall. For the first time in how many years the Vancouver Canucks are controlling the shot clock on a mostly nightly basis. That very rarely happens. Even more recently, they've really limited the scoring chances against. And maybe that is due to recent opponents, Anaheim, Dallas, the Rangers, all not teams that are considered, I guess, offensive juggernauts per se, but still positives for the Canucks that they've been able to do that. So while I get that there's parts of their game that still haven't come along, I think there is a lot to be kind of optimistic about with this team, especially when you look at the fact that they are right now the team that is leading the league in 1-goal losses with 4 already on the season. You have to think that their luck starts to break their way eventually.
Okay, your Spro Cup is clearly half full, because if we look at what they've been doing the last couple of games, sure, the shot share is in their favor. The chance creation is in their favor, but they've also been playing some teams that don't necessarily have, on paper, that firepower that the Canucks first line should have. So Anaheim, great start to the season for them. But when you're matching up the top lines against the top lines, I expect Vancouver to win that matchup and put up goals and points. That's what you're missing from your argument, is shot creation, chance creation is great. Without results, it doesn't mean anything. It means a 1-goal loss. So I'm not necessarily selling stock on the Vancouver Canucks. Before the season started, I thought it'd be a grind to get in. I thought they'd be a playoff team, but it wouldn't be easy. But this is a very difficult situation for this team right now, because you can be doing all the right things, like the Montreal Canadiens a couple of years ago. All the analytics look great for the Montreal Canadiens. You know what they couldn't do? They couldn't score. So be careful. Be careful with those analytics, because sometimes they look great, but what's the most important fact in hockey? Goals scored, and the Canucks haven't been doing enough of that.
All right, so Randip is not in the moral victory club. We've learned that today. They are bottom 5 in shooting percentage of 5-on-5 as well. So you have to expect that will start to come around for the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe I'm too positive. I don't know, but I do know that there are some parts of their game that are concerning. That is something you cannot debate, and it's a big part of the reason that they have lost all of these 1-goal games. What is the most concerning part of the Canucks game so far this season?
It has to be the penalty kill, and the penalty kill is currently second worst in the NHL. Somehow the Winnipeg Jets have a worse penalty kill. I don't know how. I've been watching a lot of this Canucks penalty kill, and those seam passes are just tearing the Canucks apart. You don't have the right players on that PK as well. And that's something that Jim Benning is going to have to address, because without Tyler Mott, without Brandon Sutter, this penalty kill is essentially sinking the Canucks every single game. You talk about the 1-goal losses. Look at how many goals that they've given up on the penalty kill. And that is a problem where you're saying, okay, you get a couple of more kills every game or so, and you're in a better spot. They've given up double-digit penalty, power play goals this season. And it's really, really ugly compared to last year. So the most worrying thing from the Canucks game thus far is, the power play has potential to drag them back into games, but the PK has shown that it can sink them in games. And that's why we're seeing all those 1-goal losses. And it doesn't seem like that much help is on the way. Tyler Mott, when he's healthy, sure. But beyond that, Tyler Mott is one person able to make that PK unit, 5, 10 places better? I don't know if it can, but they're in a world of hurt right now with that PK.
Yeah, the penalty kill is terrible, and the Canucks goaltending has been fantastic this year. But on the PK, their save percentage is like 80%. Again, bottom 5 in the league in that spot. And a lot of the chances they've given up, yeah, good luck to Thatcher Demko and Yaroslav Halak making those saves. They've been damn good all year long at 5-on-5, but on the PK, they aren't making necessarily that big stop in the way that they have been able to at even strength. And that is one of the reasons that the Canucks have a second worst penalty kill in the league. Your goalie has to be your best penalty killer. And right now, nobody on the penalty kill is having any kind of success. And they're trying some different things. Bo Horvat got a look on the PK last night. That didn't go so well, at least at start. So they have to look for solutions. It has to come internally because this team is not going out to make a trade to find some kind of penalty kill savant. They just miss Jay Beagle. They miss Brandon Sutter. They're not going to replace those players. They just need to find the guys within the squad that can pull them out of this somehow, some way. But right now, yeah, it is the chief concern on this team. The other thing is Elias Pedersen. And I know he's got 6 points through the 7-game homestand. Half of those points came against the Dallas Stars. But I don't think you can genuinely watch him right now and say, oh yeah, Elias Patterson's game is coming along. I see. The points are starting to come, and it definitely makes sense. He's playing that well. I don't know. I still see a different player, Randip.
9 points this year in 13 games. 5 of those have come on the power play, which is, you don't apologize for this, but the 5-on-5 game is something that is still a worry. Are you able to generate? Are you able to score? Because when we look at chance creation, sure, the Canucks top line in the last 3 or 4 games, at the very minimum, they're neutral. They're not giving up more than they're creating, but the problem is that they're not scoring. And if you watch Elias Pedersen, he just kind of looks sluggish out there. He looks a little bit slower. He doesn't have that reaction time that we've seen in the past that is extremely quick. Don't get me wrong. His straight line speed has never been fast. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the reaction time in tight spaces or the ability to make a decision really quickly, which is one of the strong suits of his game. You're just not seeing that consistently enough. You see flashes of it, and I know a lot of Canucks fans get excited when they see it, but ask yourself this question: are you seeing it that often? And the answer to that is no. So is Elias Pedersen a worry to start off this year? I told people that listen to the People Show and here on YouTube, you don't worry about it until you get to 12, 13, 14 games. Well, we're at that point now, and you start to wonder, okay, some things he's doing well, predominantly on the power play, but that confidence is still lacking, Dan.
Yeah, it's the short area quickness. Like, I just don't see the same burst in his game. He can slip out of one check, but he can't pull away from it. And that is kind of concerning for a player that, yeah, he's never going to be a burner. That's not what he's about, but he is about, a little bit of the dangles and be able to create a little bit of space for himself to get a shot off or make that big pass, create speed through the neutral zone. He's not doing those things in the same ways that he used to. And he can't use the excuse of, hey, I missed part of training camp. I'm still getting up to speed. Like, you played 2 games in the preseason. Now you've got 13 games under your belt. You should be able to at least be close to full speed and into midseason form. We haven't seen it yet for Elias Pedersen, and it is a big problem. The final thing I will mention is the division. We all expected the division to not be that great. The Pacific Division so far has seen a lot of surprises, right? We talked about Calgary and Edmonton, both off to tremendous starts. All of the California teams are off to pretty good starts. And you have Vegas, who just got Jack Eichel, and the Seattle Kraken, who have suffered from poor shooting percentage and really poor goaltending through the course of the season, which I guess maybe could have been expected. But they're an expansion team, so whatever. The Canucks are in trouble for me because there's more teams that they're competing with in this division for playoff spots than we originally thought.
And it's going to be a tough one because a couple of those California teams, I look at San Jose and Anaheim, you do feel they're going to drop off at some point, but Anaheim, continues to put up the offense, and San Jose somehow has found really good defensive play. You wonder how long that can go. I think LA's got staying power despite all the injuries that they've been dealing with. I feel though that team and some of the young players that are taking a step along with the veterans, Anze Kopitar and Dano has made a huge difference on that team. I do believe they have staying power, but Edmonton, Calgary, good luck catching up to those teams. This is where Calgary Flames fans can get in the comments and chirp me because I didn't think they would really do much of anything, but they have
never happened before, Randy. Never happened.
Yeah,
before.
You usually get the hate in the comments, not me, but this week I'm sure it'll be me. But listen, Daryl Sutter has got that team buying in for the short term at the very least, and it's working. The question I have with the Canucks is, Vegas is coming at some point. And can you build up some points before US Thanksgiving, which is exactly in 2 weeks? You got a 7-game installment here where it's mixed with home games and road games. These 7 games that you'll essentially picked up 5 points from, throw that in the rear view. Don't look at it ever again. Throw it away. And the next 7, up until the US Thanksgiving, that's going to be key here because you got to get some of those points back that you lost at home. Some of these games are coming up at home. Some of them are on the road, but this is an opportunity for the Canucks to get back into it. And the key thing here is they do play Vegas. They do play Anaheim again as well. So you want to chip away at some of the teams ahead of you or that you will be battling with down the road. You got to start making some, picking up some wins and putting some points in that win column, because if you continue to play hot, cold, it's going to be really, really tough to claw back in that Pacific Division. And I don't care if other teams are dropping off. You'd expect the Central to get really, really tough as the season goes on here as well, with Colorado eventually picking up points, getting a wild card spot. Still believe it's going to be very tough in the Western Conference. So you better start fighting for that 3rd spot in the Pacific.
Yeah, this Canucks team, even the most optimistic of people, myself included, know that it was going to be tough and fighting tooth and nail to get into the postseason this year. And to start off slow is not great for them because the schedule only gets more difficult for this team as the year goes on. And you look after the Olympic break, it's going to be really tight schedule, and the strength of schedule, at least we think after the Olympic break for Vancouver, is going to be incredibly strong. So they have to start banking some points and give up on moral victory season. Again, I'm positive about most of what they've done to start the year and how their game is trending, but that's all well and good. You still have to find ways to get results at some point. How do you feel about the Canucks game so far this season? Are you worried about it? What are you positive about? Let us know in the comments. We try to respond to as many as we can. And of course, listen to the People's Show Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 on Sportsnet 650. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Google Play as well. And we'll see you in the next video.